All right, we're live. How you doing, Derek?
What's up?
Hi, Nikki.
Wow.
Hi, Nikki.
Wow.
Nikki, you there?
That's so wrong.
Nikki? Hello?
That's so wrong.
Where's Nikki? Derek, have you seen Nikki?
I have not seen Nikki, no.
No?
No.
Wow.
Nikki's not here.
You know, I called her like at least 3 or 4 times just now, and she didn't even respond.
I don't know.
Aren't your friends supposed to be there for you whenever you need them?
Is this gonna turn into a whole lean on me thing right now?
You really don't want me to break out into song. Like, nobody wants. You know how the mayor for the mayor election for the recall, when they had everybody go down to Jerry Remy's
Yes.
and sing karaoke?
Yep.
I always thought that if I had to do something like that, I'd probably get like temporary flu that day or something. You know.
24-hour bug.
Yes, at least 6.5-hour bug, just because I can't.
I would just go with the 24-hour bug. That's more believable.
I've sang karaoke and it's been awful. Like, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. I sang that one time.
So you let everyone down?
Sing? I did let everyone down with that. I sang Eminem. Like, yeah, exactly. Can you keep straight face and listen to that story? No. Nope. At any rate.
Wow.
Nikki Medeiros is not with us today. It's her boyfriend's birthday, so happy birthday, boyfriend, to Nikki.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Are we allowed to say names? No?
Yeah, Bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Bill.
Yeah. So that's that. So it's me and you today, bud, for a couple hours.
Let's do it.
I actually texted her and said, I have no topics to talk about right now. I've been working. I work 2 jobs now, man. It's a tough life.
Is it really?
Yes.
What do you? So what's the second job?
What? What'd you say?
Shut up.
What did you just say?
What is this second job
you got this on video, right?
Bite me.
You got this on audio. You heard him sexually harassing me just now, right?
Shut up.
No.
What is the second job now?
Listen, we need to address this problem, Derek.
Hey.
I am now a social worker for a residential program. If anyone wants to know the details of that, it's on my Facebook page. Also, I do in-home behavioral care for another company based out of Fall River. So I have these 2 jobs, and I like them very, very much, both of them very much. I'm starting just very, very early out on it, on the second one. So
how's it? So right now, with all this stuff, going on, I could see you probably don't have a lot of time to do anything else. Bike riding still going?
Yes. It's the only Sunday is the only day that I really have a big, large amount of time to go out. Actually, I was going to go to church on Sunday, but
I saw you were at Gillette.
I was at Gillette Stadium with my mother, and you know what's funny is by coincidence we ran into 3 guys that you know very well.
John, Norbert,
and Rob, and those 3 have been actively involved in putting together a group that goes out every week pretty much and cleans neighborhoods and things like that, which is. Yeah.
No, speaking of Norb, there was some news in one of the neighborhood association meetings that I believe Norb is going to be getting a citation from the city for all the work that he does.
You know, I always thought that if I was a counselor, I would want to do that for him, but the problem is because of what I do with the Angels Anonymous, I think there would have been a conflict. So
there's also more to that. That he's also going to get a state.
He deserves all of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he gets out there. He'll do it on his own. He'll just do it in his own neighborhood. He was ready to go out on Gillette Field and clean up, and I was like, slow down, man, slow down, you know. But he has it in him to want to do that. So it was good to see an outlet for him to get out there because. Now that they have, it's called Citizens for a Cleaner Fall River. Its acronym is CCFR. Mm-hmm. They go out there just randomly. I think they went to Lafayette Park last week or so.
I think they were there this morning.
Oh, okay. So you have that going on, and they have a Facebook page too. I actually shared it with about, I don't know, 100, 150 people. when I saw it, because I'm like, everybody should be getting on this. It's an opportunity to get people more involved. Angels Anonymous does cleanups. Obviously, we did one today, but we don't do it on a weekly basis. We don't do it as frequently. So if other people want to get out there and do that, you don't have to be a part of an organization. You don't even have to be a part of CCFR. You can be just knock on your neighbor's door and start, doing things in your own neighborhood. So what I hope it does is it inspires other people to get involved and do things. So the more the better, in my opinion. On that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people always like to say, why doesn't this get done? Why doesn't that get done? Why is this like this? Why is that run down? Why is this overgrown? It's easy for someone just to say what is broken. It takes someone that's really special to actually try to fix it.
Well, there's people out there that are like, my tax money is supposed to take care of that. How come it's not taking care of that?
But you know what? Sometimes you have a good amount of pride just getting out there, doing it for yourself, and being the person that says, you know what, I helped, instead of just pointing out the problem. And we need a lot more people like that. And Norbert, he was one of those guys that really took that message to heart, where he just started walking around as he was walking around with a little plastic bag, picking up trash. Some days you'd have 2-3 bagfuls of stuff.
Yep.
And everything.
And that's just in his little small neighborhood.
Yeah. So
that's not even counting 3 or 4 blocks down the street or anything
right.
like that.
So I mean, if everything that he does, he definitely deserves that. He definitely deserves everything he's gonna get, and I would love to see a lot more people follow suit with it.
So I'm mentioning, people that go out there and say, our tax money should be taking care of this, and why are people going out there cleaning up neighborhoods when we pay taxes and we pay an entity within our government to take care of it? Well, I think that Fall River, particularly because we see it every day here because we live here and everything, but when you go to other towns and other cities as well, if they're only relying on the government or their tax money to take care of their town, they're already behind the game. So it really comes down to whether or not you want to get involved and if you want to do something. Because if you're depending on the tax money to take care of it, if you're depending on the government only to take care of these things, it's not going to happen. All you're going to hear, and you did hear it over and over again, is, oh, we need more money. We don't have enough resources. We need more money. When all reality is what you need is a handful of people that want to contribute to a neighborhood, and you can get some things done. And Angels Anonymous proved that over the past 2 years. I believe that you're going to see Citizens for a Cleaner Fall River do that as well. And in the future, hopefully other people get inspired, and then you'll start to see that you don't need your government all the time to do things for you. You actually can go out there and get it done on your own. Now, you want to have a conversation about what is my tax money paying for? I would love to have that kind of conversation with you all day long. As a matter of fact, the phone number is, Derek, 774-955-0533. So I will say the phone number, 774-955-0533.
Yeah, I had such a mental fart on the.
It's all good, no worries. We haven't actually had to say the phone number too often. We usually get a handful of calls from people, usually the same 3 or 4 people. We get about maybe 100 or so listeners on a regular basis. Not that day, but over time. Over the span of a week or so, we usually end up with about between 60 to 100 people that listen to our show, which is nice.
And
Thank you very much, everybody.
And the great thing is that those that actually do listen to us live, if they have the ability to do so, they love to interact with us, especially one certain person, as I will show TJ, who loves to...
One of my favorite people.
Loves to absolutely just hammer me on.
She does the play-by-play.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Little Miss Danielle, thank you for listening,
yeah.
And you heard nothing.
So I hope again everyone gets involved. There's dozens of different ways to contribute to your neighborhoods. It doesn't have to be a cleanup. It can be anything. I think that's why with Angels, there's about 12 people. There's soon to be 13 people in the board, and what they want to do is expand into other areas, because there is more than one way to contribute, and maybe we can play to our strengths. My strength, hands down, is the cleanups and some of the community activities when it involves youth and things like that. That's where I feel like I can thrive more. Whereas other people feel like they're more comfortable fundraising for a good cause, whether it's to help out someone with cancer or to help out a poor family, to get, toys for Christmas. There's so many different things. I personally, much of it started when I wanted to get together and do a Thanksgiving dinner for people who are struggling to put food on the table. That is really that was the event that really started us getting together to do Angels Anonymous. And before that, Angie, who is the president of Angels Anonymous, she started cleanups out at Kennedy Park. That's where I met Joe and Joe Rodericks and a lot of other people. So all it takes is a couple of people to come up with some ideas and do some things. And the next thing you know, you're expanding into other things. I mean, I loved carrying toys and bringing it to people's houses on Christmas Day. Like, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, especially doing that and, just seeing, like it was great interacting with the people when we did that. They were floored that we were able to help, and some were even in tears. Just the fact that they had something that they could give, and you know what, just that small amount of time, it was. I mean, it put a lot of what I thought into perspective, and it always seems to happen. When you do this.
You have entities out there that will say, hey, I don't want to do this because you can get taken advantage of. And you know what? You can. There are opportunities that people will try to take advantage of you. We had somebody, I think, try to lie to us and say that they needed some things, and they already had some things, right?
Right.
But you weigh that and you say, I would still rather go out there. Well, me, and I'm not saying you have to think this way, but I think this way. I'd still rather go out there and be helpful to somebody, because even if 6 people are lying, if I helped out 6 more people that weren't, then it was worth it to me. That's just simply the way I look at it. So other things going on in the neighborhood, in the city of Fall River, maybe in the surrounding areas. Did you get a chance to check out the feast?
Yeah, I was at the Madera Feast last night. I forget how packed that place gets. That place, I mean, I got there around like a little before 6. There was a lot of people, but it was still a walking room. I mean, you could definitely move around, and but once it starts to hit like 8, 9, 10 o'clock, you just keep bumping into everything.
I want to give a shout out to Tony Abreu, who is on the committee for the Madera Feast.
Yes.
He's also one of Angels Anonymous's board members as well. He's brilliant. We got a front row seat to how brilliant he can be in organizing events. So I have nothing but full confidence that the Madera Feast was a blast for everyone who went.
Yeah, the whole thing, like the music, the food, everything was just, they've done it so many times. It's to a point where I literally think it runs itself.
Yeah.
To a point, everything is laid out a specific way. Everything's done just the right way. Those people that have volunteered have probably volunteered for years, so they all know what's up. And of course, I can't. We're gonna start the 15-minute food talk right now.
Not yet.
Oh, dude, the food was phenomenal.
I mean, we could talk about anything you want, to be honest with you. There was only one ordinance meeting. We didn't have the city council meeting yet this month, so it's coming soon. But we did have an ordinance meeting where one of the more interesting parts of this was the situation with Faust Fiori, who right now was a media person, special media person. I'm not sure of the actual real title, but Faust Fiori, who used to be a host of Sense and Nonsense on WSAR, was being put up to change his position to special assistant, and he was going to supposedly receive a $7,000 raise. From what I understand, that did not go through. He did not get the raise. So, and I think $7,000 raise is actually too much, in my opinion, too. I wouldn't have went with that.
No, I mean, I think if they would have probably gone like, maybe $3,000, maybe $2,000, we could probably get away with it.
I would have kept it at 45.
I mean, you could get away with a small bump of 7,000. Just seems way too much.
And I have zero against Faust. I like Faust. I mean, he and I have had quite a few conversations, and I have nothing ill to say about Fiori. This is not a personal thing for me personally. This is just a simple matter of we're supposed to be pinching those pennies when we're talking about city government. So $45,000 to be the mayor's assistant to me is perfectly fine amount of money. Don't need to kick it up a notch, in my opinion, just me personally. And I would have 100% voted against a raise for that. So no offense, and again, not to offend anybody, but I just wouldn't have done that.
They also, I believe, talked about a resolution or two to give the city council more power for contract negotiations and the power to confirm or remove corporation counsel.
I need to be more specific.
I don't agree with any of that. I think that is not part of their. That's not part of their role in the city.
Right.
They're reaching, and I'm looking at the person who actually did sponsor these resolutions.
Yeah.
I am completely not surprised. Councilor Ray Mitchell was the one that put both of them in. Not shocked, considering what he's done over the last 3 or 4 meetings.
Yeah.
All of what he said. I'm sorry, it's just not. That's not your role. I mean, you don't have that authority. You have to remember something there too. You had a couple of councilors during many of these meetings say outright that they're union people, that they support unions. They're Steve Camara, who happened to say he wouldn't even shop at Market Basket because they don't unionize. So you have that going on. And when you had Mayor Flanagan at the time, and we'll bring him up again because I know he was on Necessary Media, and hopefully if Mike is listening, the host of Necessary Media, he can call in and let us know how that went. But as far as Flanagan goes, when he was the mayor and when he had corporation counsel, there was a perception, and maybe some of that perception could be proven to be reality, but there was a perception that the corporation counsel and the mayor at the time were working together for their own special interests. And it looked as though the city council was powerless to affect this. So Mike Mioza at the time was really a vocal person on this, and he was a city councilor at the time, who really was hoping to find a way for a power shift to occur between the city council and mayor so that there could be a better balance and a better way of checking the powers of the mayor in itself. So that was verbalized. It was never really proliferated at all. So we needed to see, I think we're starting to see some of these other councilors, but now the tide has changed. Mayor Flanagan's gone. He got recalled. The mayor that Ray Mitchell outwardly supported only had about maybe 8 to 9 months at tops to actually try to do anything, and his brilliant plan was to tax people or put more of a financial burden on citizens, so he got booted out of there. Now you have Jason Correa, who you've seen time and time again this year alone, city councilors, and then you can even listen to Ray Mitchell's show on WSAR, very super hypercritical of the current mayor because he's the guy that knocked off Sam Sutter. So now you're starting to see the bias lean towards the city council to where now you say that you feel this isn't something they should do. But I'd say about 2.5 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, the idea of the city council becoming stronger was a good idea because you had a bad mayor. So it's sort of like depends a little bit on what you have in front of you. Almost. I mean, maybe I'm making an assumption here, Derek, but it almost feels that way because when we had a bad mayor and we had a mayor that looked as corrupt can be, we definitely were like, hey, you know what? Maybe a corporation council should have a city council division so that way they can feel protected or something to that nature. So that way they felt as though if people were acting in their own interest, there was a way to check them. But now it's flipped. Now we're starting to see some integrity problems with the city council. Agreed.
Yep.
You start to see. I mean, you look at the fact that
not all the city council, by the way.
No, but you see a decent amount of them who over the last, and I'll even say over the last year and a half,
right?
You start to see how much they have changed from their stances on stuff. Specifically, when Will Flanagan was ousted,
yeah,
you had the infamous picture of Linda Ray and then City Councilor Dan Rigo all with a shot, having a cheersing.
Well, they were cheering on Sam Sutter with a big Sam Sutter sign
Right.
behind them. There was a couple other people there. City council candidates were there.
Right.
Other people that get involved in community stuff were there as well. They were banking on Sam Sutter winning this because I believe they all had their own interests involved in it.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. But the thing is that when you start to see that kind of a bias
Yep.
on a candidate,
Yeah.
and you start to see how city councils react with things that the mayor that the mayor does during that time,
Mhm.
and now you're starting to see how they have changed. Not to support the mayor, but having different opinions and stuff like that, you start to see a huge change in a lot of people's integrity. You start to see a change in a lot of people's actions, and the ultimate end goal of this power that you were looking for 2-3 years ago. Now you're starting to think, well, I can see having this power then because the system that we had with the mayor that we had wasn't correct, and there was an obvious kind of favoritism, for lack of a better term, there to show that they wanted something done. Now you start to see that. I'm not saying that the situation of the mayor is better though, but it is a little bit more than what we had before. And now you're starting to see the integrity of the councilors start to go the other way, and it's not. And like you said, it's just not right.
So you have really what you need is a little bit of integrity within the system. You need to have some level of a way to check and balance whether the mayor's acting out of the interest of the city and for their own personal gain, or whether you start to see city councilors do that as well. I think in 2014 and 2013, you had a mayor acting out in his own self-interest more so than the council. Now you have a council acting it out. And by the way, I do think that there are some things that Mayor Correa has done, Jazel Correa has done, that has acted out in his own self-interest as well.
Agreed.
So I don't want to make this look as though there's it's all one-sided here. I've talked about it on the Citizens Input myself, that I didn't like some of the things that happened when you start to see friends getting hooked up who helped out with campaigns. I don't like that. It's just something I'm going to be vocal about that I don't like. It doesn't mean I hate this one and hate this one and hate that one or whatever. It's just, I'm not trying to be dramatic about it. We're just being matter of fact that not everything Jazel Correa has done has been phenomenal for the city, and not everything the city council has done has been 100% corrupt. It's just been a little bit more, in my opinion, a little bit more that the city council has been acting out in its own interest for the most part. Not all the way through. And I think that you're seeing Joe Camara particularly pointing a lot of this out. And a lot of people ain't happy about it.
Well, would you be happy if someone just started calling you out on the stuff that you weren't called out last year about?
True.
Well,
Are you getting some of this fan?
I'm fine.
All right. I had to pull out the fan because it's hot.
No, so the only person that I kind of, and speaking of Joe, I actually, when I started first kind of getting into the more, starting to get more on the city politics thing, I started viewing Joe as someone that I'll say I didn't think he was great. As time goes on, you start to see how everyone kind of does their thing, and you're starting to realize, well, wait a minute. Joe's the only one that's kind of held his standard true throughout the whole term.
Whether you like him or not.
No, he's been the guy that's always, you may not like his decisions, but his decisions have valid sound, and,
right.
and they're consistent.
Yeah.
Whereas there are counselors out there that are going to vote yes or no based on their own personal agenda versus the betterment of the city.
That's why you end up seeing a lot of flip-flopping. And again, you look at some of the voting that was going on in 13 and 14 when the mayor was unpopular. Then when you get the mayor that's popular with the city council, as far as Sam Sutter goes, you start to see them supporting a lot of programs. And I'll go on some of this. I'll delve into some of this. You had Linda Pereira, and there's an article about Linda Pereira being against the bags during the Flanagan administration. It's actually in an article where she says this is too much of a burden on people. we have to find a better way, or something to that tune. I'm just paraphrasing here, but she was against it because she said it was too much of a burden on the people. Yes.
Was that the whole they can't afford state commons? Is that what that came from? Was that was that the $10 a month fee?
No. This was when Flanagan was the mayor, and there was an article where he said that he turned down privatizing as an option for the city because it was too expensive. And then along in that article, Linda Pereira mentions that the purple bags are too much of a burden on the people, and she was against them. So now you fast forward just a year and a half later or so, and then you have the purple bags are in. The mayor at the time is Sam Sutter, who is a friend to Linda Pereira, who Linda Pereira clearly, there's articles, there's photos. She was in full support of Sam Sutter as the mayor, and she then started to support the bags. And then she started to support the $10 per unit fee that Mayor Sutter brilliantly decided to come up with as a solution to our financial problems. So yeah, so we have, and she was in support of it to the point where she even told a mistruth.
Yeah, the Fort Lauderdale thing?
Right.
Yeah,
where she said, I just came back from Fort Lauderdale. They have the bags, they have the fee. Well, they did not. So it was not true. Whether or not you want to say it was a mistake or not, whatever. It wasn't true. And it was never corrected, by the way. So to me, she was willing to go the extra distance to support a mayor she liked and went against her original word from just a year ago or two. So that to me is a flip-flopping position for a city councilor to take, where, and you know, city councils are free. Everybody's free to change their mind if they think it's the better option down the road. But I personally don't think that was the case. I think it was a matter of she supported one mayor, she didn't support another mayor, so she spoke against them. Now she's been very vocal against this mayor, Jason Correa. There's a lot of backstory behind a lot of alleged backstory behind bad blood between those two. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. From what I've seen, a little bit I've seen, they've had some back and forths publicly, you know. But at the same time, you still have a job to do. You don't have to love everybody you work with. Do you love everybody you work with?
Absolutely not.
I know for a personal fact, a couple of weeks ago when you told me about some things at work, I was like, all right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely some people I don't like working with.
Right. But
you do it for the betterment of the group because you have to.
They don't all have to hold hands and be kumbaya. But what we're seeing and what I feel is going on is some of the councilors are just purposely just saying no to everything that he wants to do. Mm-hmm. And you can't have that. You're just going to go nowhere if that's what you got going on. You got, City Council Ray Mitchell doing lawsuits against the city, getting 10 taxpayers to sign something to go after this contract. Like, you lost the vote, Ray. It's over. You're just going to have to accept it. Just like when you voted for the bags, just like when you voted for the Flanagan's budget. We all had to accept it. Yeah. It is what it is.
When you had to make the courageous vote.
Right. When he made the courageous vote to vote for the fee.
To vote for the budget that included a fee in it.
Yeah.
To hopefully make the Sanitation Enterprise Fund self-sustaining, which it never did.
It even borrowed after they voted for that budget.
Yes.
So.
And then of course everything else starts to come out from there, where you start seeing that the bond that we had for the trash trucks, we were still only paying interest on it. We never really made a dent on the amount of money that we did. I mean, it is ridiculous to see all of that stuff. I mean, I just don't understand how how can you look at all of this and still think that what you're doing is right, other than just being self-serving and not caring of who the mayor is, or not caring of the people that are making the decisions are?
Did any of these 10 taxpayers, besides C.J. Ferry and Bob Camara and I believe Greg Primo? No, was Greg Primo?
I'm not sure if he was.
I don't think Primo was there.
No.
Greg Primo is on the document that is asking for the audit.
Yes.
That actually just is a large paragraph of insults towards the current mayor as
Correct.
Well. But the other people that were involved in this 10 taxpayer lawsuit, we didn't hear from them.
Nope.
We weren't even sure who they were.
And
I would like to know who they were.
well, and ironically enough, the only other time we actually had a 10-person, signing was, when we had the recall. And those 10 people were extremely vocal. They were not shy. They were very in your face.
Ray Mitchell wrote the affidavit. He was not one of the 10 taxpayers.
No.
He wrote the affidavit. So really, the only people you heard from on this 10 taxpayer lawsuit that were actually the 10 taxpayers are the two hosts of Spindle City Straight Talk.
And an affidavit from a sitting city council who realized that it was a conflict of interest to actually be part of that 10.
And it went nowhere.
No.
So to me, again, when we're talking about a city council trying to work together with the mayor to reach some goals, you're seeing way too much obstruction from them.
Now,
way too much.
Now, why did it go nowhere? Because they voted for the budget.
Yeah.
So, and once they voted for the budget, the judge was like, well, they have funding. Done. Ray
Mitchell was ready to, from the interaction that I had with him, he was ready to go into not receivership, but 112 budget.
Yep.
He was not willing to go to 112 budget just a year ago when Sam Sutter was the mayor. It was going to be
or the year prior
with when Flanagan was the mayor. So now you have a situation again where you're seeing flip flop. Yep. Flippy flop.
Now, look.
If anybody watches Empire, they probably got that joke. Go ahead.
Now, look at the 20 issue. This would be the 2016 FY 2016 budget. If you take a look, the vote was 7-2.
Yes.
Who are the two that voted no? Jazel.
Right.
And at that, then City Council President Joe Camara.
I thought Mioza did too. It's all right.
Shoot. All right, the 7-2 or 6-3.
Don't matter.
If Mioza didn't, that's fine. But there you have someone that says, okay, this is wrong.
Right.
I don't agree with this.
Yeah.
We're gonna go for it anyway, and we're not gonna vote for it. So they voted no. Now, do you think they voted no just because they knew they had enough votes to pass it anyway?
No.
All right, that argument can be made.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to think that even if they didn't have the votes, he would still vote no, simply because you start to see some of the things that he did before, has done afterwards, and is doing currently,
right.
And you start to see that the opinions in the way in his direction doesn't really change. Mm. So I could probably say with Joe's vote, it was probably more of this is how I truly feel. And if it passes, it passes, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right.
So at that point, he voted for what he believed was right,
yeah.
which is what we need, not someone that's going to vote on the behalf of what is going to be what I believe in, what's going to benefit me, not what's going to benefit people.
We also had a lot of conversation this year from the city council about how much things, quote, really cost in comparison to projections as to what the mayor was projecting for the 10-year scale of the contract for sanitation. So here we are again, right? Mayor comes out, says we're going to save about $9 million over the next 10 years or so, something to that effect. Then you have him and his city administrator come out with statistics, and this was a big, thing that I had to call into Ray Mitchell's show. And really, I was very frustrated because Ray Mitchell's saying he didn't have the figures when the figures were given that night. Now, granted, they didn't have time to go over the figures, but they physically had the figures. So there was no more of this secret withholding information on everybody type of thing going on. He had figures. Whether or not those figures are accurate is up for discussion. And you and I and Nikki never, ever, ever once said we support those figures, right?
Absolutely not.
We can't. We don't have the tools and the resources to dig as deep as some of these other people have. If I was in the seat, I told people, if I was in the seat, I would have went to Revere myself to talk to people about things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But we didn't have that opportunity. We didn't. Other people may have. But they chose to go on WSAR and say, oh, no. these figures are all wrong. It's going to cost less to stay with the city. But they never, not once, did they provide any tangible figures.
I agree.
Or a comparison. And even if they did, as far as a comparison of what they talked about how expensive this contract is, they never once talked about the projections of what the city would cost over a 10-year span.
Right.
Not once.
No. And you start to see a lot of that when you, even if you listen to the radio when you have these guys on the air during interviews or whether it's their own show, they like to just say, you like that one, didn't you? They just like to say things and keep things general. So if you were to try to question them, they have loopholes to say, well, I didn't quite say that. I said this. Or if you try to question them on where did you get your answers, you're going to get the big old hang-up.
Or, and this has happened many, many times, where you ask for evidence and all you're doing is getting a filibustering conversation where they just fill the moment with words without the evidence, and then the next thing you know, you got to go. I want evidence. I want to see if somebody says that something is a fact, I want them to back it up with evidence. Whenever someone talks to me about something, if I don't know the information, I am not going to sit here and tell you I know it. I'm going to say I'll find that out. Or
Agreed.
I will ask around to make sure that I'm accurate on what I say.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have people, it's irresponsible for people who have the ability to vote for ordinances, to vote for budgets, to be involved in the spending of your money, of your tax money, to be vague and inaccurate all day long. And that goes for a city council, that goes for the mayor, and that goes for everybody involved in the conversation, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
City council, school committee, all of it. And there's a lot of people involved in these entities and these conversations that you didn't vote for, that you have no control over with your vote, that have a lot of say in how your money is spent in this city. So when someone says, this is a fact, and they don't back it up with evidence, we should have a humongous problem with that. It's important to take these things seriously and hold people accountable. If you're not going to do that, guess what's going to happen? You're going to end up with another politician making a bunch of promises, not making up for the promises, trying to lie to you to say that he made up for all these promises or she made up for all these promises, and you have a city that does not benefit at all from any of it.
No. Ultimately, the funding for the city comes from taxpayers. Taxpayers are going to be the ones that are going to foot the bill for every single thing that happens in this city.
What if it's a grant, Derek? What if it's a grant? What if it's a grant?
Stop. It's still taxpayer money.
Oh, it's still taxpayer money?
Still taxpayer money.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. All right. Just checking. But we still gotta pay. We still gotta pay. Every mistake they make, we pay. I mean, everything that they do, we pay.
When you hear candidates, no matter who they are, talk about how they have these brilliant ideas, they're financial gurus, wizards, I've been doing this for years, blah, blah, blah. When you hear these statements being said, and I say it a lot, remember where your money actually comes from. It happened this year. It happened this year.
We're talking about the budget, the preparation meeting.
Yes.
Where these financial gurus who are supposed to be able to be very, very good at what they do.
You had tons of experience at the table in city politics. You had Kadeem, you had Linda Pereira, and then you had someone who advertises himself as a financial planner, Richard Cabaceres. You had all these people, and I believe Cliff Ponte was in one of his seats adding to the conversation.
Yep.
And the idea that they all came up with was to not get rid of the fee, or to question getting rid of the fee that's for sanitation, to the point where then you had people posting on Facebook, people who were part of school committees and part of, PTA groups and things like that, saying, oh, we should really rethink getting rid of this sanitation fee. when I needed to write an article to the paper to remind everybody. You can't keep on having these fees, paying for services that aren't directly related to the fee. Because guess what they're called? Taxes. You can't do that.
Dude,
you can't keep on doing that.
It's actually cool. We did it at the same time.
That was good.
I know.
It's
like we had the plan.
We were in sync on that one.
We did.
I'm not gonna.
No, we're not doing.
There will be no Justin Timberlake.
There will be no singing on that.
So there you are, and you went through this whole entire process of what there was about 800,000 signs in the city, all over the city. City councilors doing commercial after commercial after commercial on WSAR, wherever it was, in the newspaper, blah 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 blah. I got all these ideas. We need new people. We need new people. We need new ideas. We need new people. Right? You get to the point where you're finally able to have a discussion about something new that we can do to try to make things work. And what did they do? They went back to the fee. That's what they did.
New ideas.
Yes.
New ideas. Let's institute fees. Wait, hold on. Wait, isn't instituting fees and new taxes, hasn't that been around for like decades? Leo
Pelletier was a city councilor for just about 30 years in this city. And it was very simple. You voted yes to raise taxes and fees, or you voted no to raise taxes and fees. That's what you do when you're in government. You try to figure out the best way to provide services at the barest bones that you can provide it. There is no great, wonderful, new, crazy idea that's going to come down the pipe that's going to change those facts. You may come up with some ideas that may benefit the city. You may come up with some ideas that's going to do these things, but it's not going to change the dynamic of where the funding actually comes from to pay for everything. And you're lying to people when you put on a performance that it can be different from that. That's the problem. That's a big problem. So what Jason Correa did, the effort here. I'm not talking about the accomplishment because we're not going to know the accomplishment for years to come. But the effort here by Jason Correa, in my opinion, was admirable because he was trying to provide a service and cut expense in the process. I didn't like the attempts at getting friends jobs. All of them. I have no problem with Monica Souza, by the way, because she actually can do the job. I didn't think that Chris Pereno was the right choice, and then he finally got another person in there that was probably much more qualified to do the job. So some of these other things, I didn't like what Jazel did. But as far as the sanitation thing, the effort, again, not the accomplishment, the effort, because we're not going to know the accomplishment till later down the line. But the effort was to provide service to the city and still cut a lot of expenses. That's the kind of idea that you're trying to do. That's the theory that city councilors and mayors should be trying to do.
I love the other part of that whole privatizing sanitation. All right, hold on. If Nikki was here, she'd be giving me that look.
Privatizing the hauling.
Hauling.
Right.
Okay. Let's
shout out to Nikki Medeiros.
Miss you, Nikki. Privatizing the hauling. They keep saying how that contract was so one-sided, how at one point Ray Mitchell had 2 people looking at it, then 3 people, then 4 people, and probably he had like a team of lawyers from...
So why does he need a corporation counsel for his own department when he has 4 lawyers that do all the decision-making for him already?
Right. So the crazy thing about it is that you just keep seeing, you kept hearing how this contract was so bad for us and how it was completely giving away everything to easy disposal. But there was never any statement saying this is why. We all looked at the contract. Mm-hmm. We all looked at it. We all saw the part of that contract where they told us that there was nothing that we could do if they did anything wrong, and clearly in, I believe it was Section 13. There it was.
You're talking about a performance clause.
I'm talking about the performance piece.
Okay.
Now, there it was, black and white. If this company does not perform to the level to that level that the contract states, or they do certain things wrong or whatever or whatnot, there are penalties that they have to pay, which are carried out during the payment per month.
Yeah.
So if they screw up to the atonement of like $7,500, You take $7,500 away from the payment, and that's it. I mean, and that's how we cover it.
So let's go to the mentality of the city council in all this. So as I said before, you had a mayor initially try to provide a service with some savings in the process, looking at about $2 million savings this year, and then he tried to project that would be at a minimum $9 million in savings over the next 10 years. That was his claim, okay?
Right.
Now, whether or not he can accomplish that is a whole different story. But your mentality of the council, right off the jump, was to say no, because of self-interest when it came to the labor union situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having a mentality of, wow, we might be able to provide a service to the city and cut costs, but you know what? We really need to do this, that, and the other in order to make sure that it's facilitated correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't do that.
No.
There was none of that. There was no working together to take the burden off taxpayers in this process. That was my problem. Not that Jason was right and the city council was wrong and this number was right and this number was wrong and it's really going to be 12 million. No, I didn't care about that. What I cared about, what I had a problem with, was you didn't have a council on board with the initial idea to try to cut costs and provide service. If they would have said to Jazel, I really think that you can cut costs and provide service by doing this instead, and show that this is the way that they could have done it, that would have been a far more productive conversation.
Absolutely.
Than what was going on? What do you remember the conversations when Jazel had to go to the floor?
Yeah.
And I got you. Oh, no, I got you. And then they go into WSAR and they're like, not just one council, but other councils, going to WSAR saying, I don't know what the mayor's doing. I don't know what he's thinking, blah, blah, blah. They went with the self-serving route. That was the problem. Not because I love Jazel Coran. Not because I think his numbers are accurate. No, it's the mentality that our elected officials are supposed to have. And what we ended up with. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I got a little emotional in there.
You did. You did.
But it's just to me that's what the frustrating part of this is. And we need more of that mentality. Now, again, if Jazel's whole process is corrupt and somebody peels the layer off this and exposes all this stuff, then fine, by all means. But I still, in the long run, still appreciated the idea of providing a service and cutting expenses to do so. I appreciated that, regardless of anything else that happens along the way.
Now the way that we're going to be able to tell whether or not all of this is working as it's designed,
yep.
and the whole thing of seeing if we're going to stay within the budget that we have that the administration has laid out for this contract is all of those quarterly check-ins. Because at the end of the quarter, everyone gets a little packet, I believe, and they say, okay, well, as you can see, that we're on track for this department. You know, we've only spent 20% of their budget, 25% of their budget. It's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen with sanitation. When you say we've spent 25% of the allocated amount for the contract, which is because they pay per month.
Right.
It'll be very interesting to see if they've saved any money because of if there's been any kind of knocks against easy disposal to see if they can save money there. And then, of course, the other piece of this puzzle that nobody can control is the cost of actually disposing of solid waste and recyclables.
Yeah.
If that cost does not go down, it doesn't matter what we do with our hauling piece. Sanitation is just going to take an overall bath on this.
Want to emphasize that in October, we are supposed to be seeing the recycling contract expire. Now, the hauling piece is what this contract was all about with Jazel Correa. That's why our co-host Nikki was pretty upset about a lot of the grandstanding that was going on, because all we were talking about was one aspect of this whole thing, which was the hauling. And again, you had people who lost jobs here. Well, you had some that were absorbed into the new entity.
Yep.
Well, you had some people that were absorbed into other entities within government. But ultimately, you saw somewhere around 15 to 20 people have to go and find new jobs. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see people out of work. However, when you weigh what the obligation is of the mayor, you know where you have to go. You have to go with what's going to take the burden off the taxpayers the most.
Right.
That's the obligation you have as the mayor. That's a tough decision you have to make. And you also have a tough decision as a city councilor. But instead, what was done, again, was the grandstanding, the trying to make other people look bad with this, that, and the other, instead of actually really going through this process the right way, in my opinion. But you end up with, this other piece that nobody's even barely hardly talking about, which is far more costly to the city and the citizens than the hauling of trash.
Right.
Your recycling costs are over $80 a ton.
Now, when you start to go with the over $80 a ton, flashback 3 years, flashback to
19.
Flashback to before, no, even before that.
Yeah.
Flashback to before we had the bags. Before anything, even before we had the carts, when we had the bins.
Little small blue bins,
yeah.
right?
If you noticed, they were actually separating everything out. We were making money on that.
Yeah.
So to go from a point where you were making money,
yeah,
to a point where you've now completely touched the other side of the spectrum and now paying $80. I believe we're making somewhere in the area of $10 to $15 a ton for the recyclables.
That's only if you were properly sorting everything
Correct.
out and you had that little blue bin that you could sort things out with.
Right.
When you get the big blue bin and then you have to buy purple bags, people are no longer thinking about sorting out their recyclables. They're trying to throw as much into the recycling bin as possible.
Right. And
so therefore, you go from $15 a ton to $85 a ton within a year span.
Right. So that's a hundred. If you just go from getting 15 to paying 85, that's $100 swing.
And that's only 1 ton.
Yes.
So you have to think about how these things have cost us more financially. And now we're not even talking about it. We spend all this time arguing over the hauling piece that the most expensive parts of this, the simple fact is that solid waste is about $60 to $65 a ton, and recycling's more. There's cities out there, there's towns that make money off their recycling, and Fall River is paying $85 a ton on average to get rid of recycling. So we have a humongous problem. Thank you, Mayor Flanagan, for that one, right? And who was the city administrator at that time?
That was Kadeem, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably, maybe. I'm not sure.
That was Kadeem.
We'll have to break out the history books and figure that out.
Was it 2013 or 2014?
I believe that we went into that contract with Casella in 13, but we'll find out. It might even be earlier.
I believe that was the tail end. I want to say 2013 was the tail end of Kadeem, and that's when Kathy Ann took over. Well, and that's what allowed Jazel to come back on the.
Whoever it was between Kathy Ann Viveris and Sean Kadeem, whoever put us into that contract, you got to remember that at the time, very likely we did not have these big blue bins.
No.
At that time, we were probably doing a much better job with these little small bins and sorting things out. Mm-hmm. But things changed, and the expenses got not even quadrupled. We're talking about 8 to 9 times more expensive, and that's just the way it goes. Yep. Wait, no, I'm wrong. About quadruple. Yeah, about quadruple. Yeah, the costs quadrupled. It went from about 19 to 85, so it's about 4 times.
Well, no. We were getting money. We were on the negative side of the fence.
Uh-huh.
We crossed over that fence and started paying.
So it was a lot more.
And so it's
a horror show.
There really is no way to determine that, because
to quote City Council candidate Josh Silva, it's a horror show.
It was. Nice.
It was a horror show. So we're having a lot of That's where we need to start having these conversations. But there's no mentality. There's almost a zero mentality in the actions of some of our politicians, of some of our elected officials. There's almost a zero mentality in our actions to cut costs and provide service. We only hear it during election time. You heard Ray Mitchell talk about the lights, those lights that he talked about changing the bulbs, and this costs less on the taxpayer. You heard it right before Election Day, all these things. But throughout the entire year and a half, he was trying to burden you with a bad budget, bags, fees, this, that, and the other. But come election time, he finally says to people, oh, I tried to save you guys money with those light bulbs. Thanks. Vote Ray Mitchell. Experienced performance. So I, for me,
now more than
for me, I'm losing my mind. I'm like, oh, come on. What, you're gonna advertise yourself as a counselor that tries to save people money? Come on. You see what I'm saying? But people fall for it all year long. All year long. Oh, well, if you want a service, you got to pay for it. Oh, if you want a service, you got to pay for it. Oh, you got to pay. I said, Ray, how much more you got to pay? You already paying for the bags? Well, you got to pay more. Okay, so you're going to pay $10 per unit on top of the bags, including your taxes. Yeah. But I got you those light bulbs, so we're all even now. You see what I'm saying, guys? Come on, man. Come on. Like, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Had a nice long conversation on Facebook recently about not wanting to take money. So let's just talk about the elephant in the room, right? There is a person out on Facebook that has blogged about me, talked a lot of crap about me, whatever. A lot of it based on me saying publicly many, many times that I don't want to take donations. It's one of the topics. I'm sure there's many other topics that whoever's upset with me can be upset with me about. But I'm kind of get a little bit of a kick out of people getting visibly upset that I'm not taking money for my campaign, city council. I just find that amazing. But again, when you have a mentality, or when you're trying to promote a mentality that the government isn't obligated to your money, that a city councilor should at all times be looking to take a financial burden off taxpayers, then of course it's logical to me that I would try to do this without taking money from people. Right? If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. But I'd rather have that effort in that direction than any other direction, right? Because it's a mentality. I really fully believe that our city councilors, our mayors, our school committee members, everybody up and down the line should be working towards taking financial burden off taxpayers, not increasing it. So there's that. But I had a nice long conversation with a friend about it, and he doubted. He said, you know what? The tide is changing back to normal, where they don't want to see these change candidates, where there's no fire anymore for change. They want normality, and they want to go back to traditional. And I say to that, fine. But why is it? Why? What do you? Can you name me one person, Derek, that wants more of a financial burden on them?
I can name at least one person that doesn't. Me.
No matter what the political landscape is in Fall River, some things are going to remain the same, hopefully. You're not going to want to see, I hope, a bunch of taxpayers struggling to put their bills together, want more of a tax burden on them.
No.
Or if they have an option to pay less for something and still get a service provided, will they pay more? Maybe some people will. I have no idea.
See, the thing about services is that people will pay what they believe the service is worth.
But those dynamics are going to be the same whether there's a strong push for change, if there's a lot of angry voters in the world or not.
And I agree with that. And I agree. But sometimes what one person will say a service is too expensive, the other person will say, well, I think it's worth it.
Right.
But that's because, but then you take a look at both of these people, and you see what they have, and one person may be a little bit well off, so they don't mind spending that extra $3-4. Where
they're going to get Kellogg's instead of the Great Value Cheerios.
Exactly.
Not Kellogg's Cheerios. What? General Mills.
General Mills.
Keep going.
Whatever.
Keep going.
Going on.
I totally messed that up. Go ahead, keep going.
You're good. But those people will be willing to pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas the other person that may not be as well off thinks that they should spend their money somewhere else.
Right.
And that's perfectly great. And I think that's what people need to start seeing.
Yeah.
It's not so much I have to give money to endorse this guy. It's if this guy's not going to take my money, he's not any less of a candidate.
Right.
I'm still going to endorse the person because if he says something to me that I agree with, then why does he have to be less of a person if he doesn't take money?
The battle is not going to be won by demonizing me for not taking money. The battle is not going to be won that way. You're going to have to prove to everybody that you're better for the job than me or another candidate. That's where the battle is going to be won. Just because you won an election because you raised money and did more commercials and was more successful at convincing people that you're the better person doesn't mean that you're the better person. You know that, right?
Exactly.
Like we got to see nothing but laughing moment after laughing moment out of some of these candidates that raised money, that made themselves look like they could do the job. And I can literally sit here with video of ridiculous statement after ridiculous statement after ridiculous statement. And I'm not talking about the young guys either. I'm talking about some of the older ones too. You should not be taken. The only factor that should be taken seriously in a candidate is the content and the mentality, not the money they raise, not the commercials they do.
Nope.
That I don't care if I lose 16 elections in a row. That fact is still true. Everyone needs to understand that.
Oh, come on. It'll eat you alive if you lose 16 elections in a row.
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, people will laugh like all day long. I mean, that'll probably hurt more to have your friends ridiculing you over it than the actual loss, because I feel like I'm staying true to my beliefs and my principles. So I wouldn't do that.
I'm just messing.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it would hurt my feelings if my friends were like, all right, like, yeah, exactly, like just pointing and laughing at me. Oh, look at him holding the sign out there. You know what I mean? Like that would hurt my feelings, right? But I would still be able to look at myself in the mirror and say I stay true to my beliefs. And it's not an ideal; it's a belief. It's a real, or maybe an ideal and a belief are the same thing. Who knows? But it's also based on fact. And that's really what it is. It's not really an ideal when it's based on fact. When you actually have fact backing you up, you understand that your performance determines if you're a great city councilor or not how much money you raise. That's what really should be factored in. Just because voters fall for tricks doesn't mean that you're the best candidate for the job. That you see what I'm saying? That connect is just not. It's not connecting there. So I'm not going to try and trick people. And I'm not going to try and take their money. Because do you want your politicians tricking you and taking money? No. You only want to see that during the election year? Is that what it is? Because once they get the job, all the things that they did, making promises they can't keep, advertising themselves as things they're not, taking your money, lying.
Coming up with long-term plans.
Oh, well, that's another thing altogether. So all these things that you want to see during election year, you don't want to see them doing it as a counselor. You want to see them being honest. You want to see them with the mentality not to take your money. You want to see those things when they're counselors. Mm-hmm. So why not vote for people that have that mentality during election year? What better time than to know what your candidate is going to be about? Right?
I agree.
Whatever. Let's talk about some other things. Let's talk about food, Derek. Because I could do this all day. I literally can talk about this topic of money and politics all day long.
How about we go into some of the other articles that we had?
Got an article up here. Froed, only bitter, B-I-D-D-E-R, not bitter like a lemon. Only bidder to provide services to Fall River Redevelopment Authority. So Froward's the only game in town. Isn't that what we always know?
Yeah,
We've known that for years, right?
yeah.
You want to do something in this town business-wise? Froward is the only game in town. So it says here, if approved at the city's redevelopment authority meeting on Thursday, which has passed already, the Fall River Froward is Fall River Office of Economic Development, by the way, and the vice president is Ken Fiola, who is also the husband of Carol Fiola, the state rep of Fall River. So you have, they would be the only one. So Froward would be awarded another contract for administrative support services for the agency of the redevelopment authority. That would mean Froward would see another 3 years serving the redevelopment agency, which has been in the role for the past 13 years. So it's the only game in town. It's no competition.
All those monopolies.
Well, you know what's funny too is it's not actually a government agency.
No, but the problem, but the thing is that they're so intertwined with the government that people often do make that mistake.
It represents that relationship of business and government that sometimes people can see as a shady operation.
I agree.
So, but we'll see how it works out. We have more time to go through all this because it's going to go unchallenged, as usual. Right?
Right.
So we'll see how that works out for the city. I think there's people out there that actually like Froward.
Probably. What was the article? That's the one I wanted to talk
Ken
about.
Pacheco, who used to be the head of
The DCM.
DCM, is now he's going to be replacing Tom Coogan as the COO of Fall River Schools, which COO,
Chief Operating Officer.
Chief Operating Officer. So you are now going to see more Ken Pacheco in the school area.
Here's my question.
What's your question?
You know, we all know that Ken Pacheco has been in the city for many, many years.
Yes.
And if you know the answer, great. If not, this is just my own curiosity. You know he's going to get a pension because of the positions that he's held.
Yes.
He is now over at the school side. Does the school have their own set of do they do their own thing with pension? Or is that still all through the city?
It's all through the city.
Okay. Because now here's going to be the other kicker. What's this guy going to be making in this new position?
I don't know.
It'll be very interesting to see, simply because, remember, before he took a cutback, because he was cut back from, I think, 100 and I want to say it was about 115,000 to 98.
Pacheco confirmed that his salary as the school department COO would be the same as his current salary as building and ground director at $98,000.
Well, we'll see how long that lasts. I have a very strong feeling, and you can call this now episode 52 at the 1 hour and 5-6 minute mark, wherever we're at. We're going to call it right now. Within the next 3 years, that is going to be somewhere north of $105,000 a year.
Ken Pacheco's been involved in government for quite some time now. He's just been moved around in damn near every government position out there besides some of the elected positions. So he's been everywhere. So his quote is, I'm obviously looking forward to getting back into the educational realm where I lived for 16 years. He was a teacher over at Diamond for a long time. Obviously, this is a different capacity. It will be to supply and support the educational process. It is nice to be moving into another role in the city. So he's, like I said, he's been in every role for the past almost 10 years, involved in just about everything in our government. So some people have called him the greatest government worker in Fall River history. Some people have said other things.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't have a problem with Ken at all. I think he does take a lot of crap from his bosses. I guess that's the nicest way to say it.
Okay.
I think his neck is always stuck out for everyone.
Yep.
You say that he has had pretty much every government position except for, I think that's not true. I think the only government position that he hasn't had was an accountable one, where he has to be accountable for some of the stuff. I just think that there's a lot of knowledge that he has.
He's had some accountability situations.
But I think, but the problem is that the accountability that he's had, I think a lot of other people should have been the one that got.
Do you feel as though not just Ken? Now we're broadening this beyond Ken Pacheco. Do you feel as though some people get so embedded in government that they can never really be fired?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They become too essential, too big to fail, kind of a thing.
Well, they're just looked at those people that you can't replace, and I think that's where you start to run into a problem.
Well, in this case with Ken Pacheco, he's playing to, I believe, his strengths. He's got a lot of experience in all parts of our government, but particularly with the education piece. I believe that he's playing to much of his strengths there, including the buildings and grounds as well. So it'll be interesting to see where that all goes. You'll probably still see him walking up to the podium or walking up to the table and discussing things.
Not unless it's a school committee matter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that's about it. I mean, you won't see him.
Well, not Mr. Coogan, because Mr. Coogan is the school committee member.
Yeah.
But Tom Coogan was always having something to say at the school committee meetings. He was always there.
Well, yeah, I mean, at school committee, I thought you were talking about city council.
No, I mean, he might do the floor too as well, because Tom Coogan would do that as well.
Oh, he has. Well,
Yeah.
well, yeah, no, at that rate, he has to be there as
Right.
as a higher up.
So people will still be seeing him around as well.
Right.
So, and that's all our things there, because I got to tell you what, when I started the podcast today, I got to tell you, Derek, we found a lot to talk about here, but I wasn't necessarily sure. But since we're there talking about necessary, hashtag necessary media, Mr. Michael de Oliveira, he happened to have some very interesting guests.
He did.
It was former Mayor Flanagan and possible new member to G Unit, William Flanagan.
You screwed that up so bad.
What? He's possible. I don't want to say he's definite. He's a possible new member to G Unit, right?
No, the way you said it, more former Mayor Will Flanagan and possible new member Will Flanagan. Yeah, anyway.
Whatever.
We're moving on though.
But G Unit, right? Right?
G for Gotcha?
Right. So there were a lot of pictures going around about a month ago. Will Flanagan hanging out with the homie 50 Cent. That's pronounced 50 Cent, right?
Fiddy.
Who is the lead member of G Unit, right?
Correct.
Bunch of gangsters rapping about money, drugs, violence, right? Yep. That's Will Flanagan's line of duty, no? Pretty good?
Hey,
huh?
Sure.
What's that?
Go for it, dude.
Right?
Sure.
All right, so he's a possible member. I'm not saying he is. I'm saying he's possible.
Good for him if he is.
And you had State Rep Alan Sylvia, right? So, nice. So you had State Rep Alan Sylvia on Necessary Media, and you had William Flanagan, G Money, on there as well. And they were discussing the ever so popular topic of legalization of marijuana in Massachusetts.
Right.
How did it go? G-Unit?
Wow.
Go ahead.
If we want to roll this all up into one little
segment?
Yeah, like that.
I'll wrap it up.
Nice. Let's be blunt about it. I think that I honestly believe that there were points that when Alan Sylvia was speaking, he was supposed to be the opponent of the whole thing. It sounded like he was
a proponent
of it. It sounded weird because he's like, don't get me wrong, it sounds all good, but this is the bad piece. And of course you're looking at the pieces of, underage people getting it, being able to go into a facility.
So when Alan was talking, the screen turned black and white, and we started going into like the 1930 something film Reefer Madness or something. These crazy kids.
No, I think the biggest argument that you have is that you keep looking at if we can go out there and we can get this freely, then there's always going to be the ability that a child will be able to find it, and they're gonna have access to it.
Okay.
I mean, but tell me what the difference is when somebody goes on the street to buy them, and the kids find it anyway.
Right.
There's no difference there, except now you have it being regulated. You have specific places. Wow, nice. There's one. Specific places.
Yes.
With licenses to sell it.
That was horrible.
I know. That was bad.
Keep going.
You have, I have a very strong feeling that this is just gonna pass.
We got a phone call here.
Oh boy.
Hello, you're on with City Talk Fall River.
You know what makes me angry?
Everything. Meat, milk, cheese, eggs. All right, well, go
Law
ahead.
enforcement angers me. Law enforcement's job is to, serve and protect.
Yes.
They're there to uphold the law.
Yes.
They're not there to twist the law, decide the laws,
Yes.
Or anything of the such.
Agreed.
I get that they have a vested interest in prohibition on everything, including freedom. That's their goal, is to make everything illegal so that they can hire as many cops to work as much overtime as they can possibly handle.
Oh boy.
You know what? I'm not even going to put your address and name out there right now, man, because, I ain't going to put you out like that, man. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
That's fine.
I'm not going to be responsible for
everyone
this.
knows.
Mr. Anonymous?
Yeah, Mr.
But really,
Anonymous.
how can they, with a straight face and a moral thread of fiber of being left, honestly go forth and say that they want laws to be dictated this way or that way? It's not your job.
I want to also throw out a couple other things there too. You said something about that they have the purpose of, overtime and making more money and things like that. Well, I also think that there's an effort too to make a lot of things illegal just so they can fine you and take more of your money.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. Not cops only, but government in general.
Let's never forget the prison state that is the United States.
Well, it's interesting. There's articles out there, Adam, that show that states have been sued by prisons for not providing enough inmates.
Right.
Could you? How are you supposed to have any kind of rehabilitation if that's going on?
We had that discussion before.
Yeah.
And obviously, every correctional officer, and I happen to have quite a few friends that are COs, and believe it or not, FRPD. I know it's strange, but I do.
Adam, did I inspire you to play 50 Cent in the background while you were listening to City Talk Fall River?
So what was that? Big Willie Styles was hanging out with 50?
Yes.
Is that what he was trying to tell me?
Yes. There's pictures of him on Facebook.
Willie Styles getting jiggy with it with 50 Cent.
Well, that's
nice.
Will Smith, but
it doesn't matter.
But he's been hanging out with 50 Cent and taking pictures with him. He said, "My man 50."
So that's his crew. That's who he rolls with now.
G Unit. I said possible and alleged because I don't want to get sued.
No doubt. But anyway, so then you have the correctional proponent of it. They have a vested interest in the decriminalization. The continuing prohibition of illegal substances.
It's true.
No one wants to be out of a job, and screw your freedom if it's going to put them out of a job.
Well, the thing that's turning everyone's heads now is the tax income that you can bring in if you legalize marijuana. And Colorado is a perfect example of that, as they have had many, and I'm not talking a few, I'm talking many financial benefits have come back their way when you're looking at it from the government side of since they've legalized. And actually crime has gone down. The administrative paperwork for all these nonviolent crimes have gone down. There's a lot
by default. And consider this too. Some
it
of
just
that money
proves that
can be
less government involvement is better for you all. That's all it proves. That's all it proves.
Some of that money can be allocated toward treatment for real drugs.
If you want to see the G Unit, possible new G Unit member, debate with Alan Sylvia on the Necessary Media. If you go to Facebook or YouTube and type in Necessary Media, I believe you'll find Mike de Oliveira's channel, and you'll be able to watch the latest episode of Necessary Media.
Well, I can't do that until after this show's done, of course.
I mean, the great thing about doing this on YouTube is you can always come back.
We have a listener.
Yeah, I'll wait till this show's done
can.
because I'm so captivated by it, and then I'll go check out Necessary Media.
Hey, I'm gonna
Styles.
tell you this right now. I feel as though this has been a very productive show so far, all things considered, because I had nothing. I had no material. I wrote nothing down.
No, we winged this one.
Yeah, we winged this one, and we got through about an hour and 25 minutes. Pretty good so far. And I think you're going to appreciate the music, because I'm not going to do the lyrics, but I think you're going to appreciate the music of what we have set up for the last 5 minutes or so of the show.
Well, it's all about your life experience. As long as you're bringing that to the table, I think we'll all be fine.
I bring some.
I'll be listening, and great job.
Wait a minute. There's other things you want to talk about.
No, I have to get back.
Who are you voting for?
Oh, jeez.
In the presidential election?
Oh, no.
I'm gonna, by default, I'm gonna vote for Hillary.
Wah, wah. I don't like it.
You want me to vote for Donald?
Wait a minute. So you're trying to tell me that your choices are limited only based on what other people are going to vote for?
No, but I'm certainly not stupid enough to throw away a vote on a write-in.
Why would you feel as though you're throwing away a vote by voting for what you want?
Well, let's see. Donald Trump is the axis of evil. Okay, and if I don't vote for the next strongest candidate to beat him and he becomes president, then shame on me.
I actually think he's the axis of stupidity more than he is the axis of evil. I actually think Hillary might have an evil gene in her.
Well, he's a racist. Well, first of all, he's a filthy racist. His bigotry is, I mean,
he's a bigot. I would go with bigot.
Bigot's a good word.
Yeah.
And he's not even, and I think he's trying to hide it. That's the worst part. That's how much of a bigot he is. He's trying to hide it, and it's pretty transparent to most people. The people that are voting for him, I question their bigotry as well. Because think about it. They're on the same plane, and they want this guy to get in because they believe in the same type of rhetoric and racism that he believes in.
I mean, I think that there's some people like Josh, who has talked to me about Trump, and he actually he says that he dislikes Hillary so much he's going to put his vote into Trump, or he's at least contemplating it. But he talked to me about how he likes that he's non-traditional, that he's going to shake things up, and it's not really
I'm non-traditional. Could I be the president? That makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever.
What it really is
under?
What it really is, though,
if he were to become president, what is the over/under on how soon we'd be in a major conflict with someone?
So what it really is there is that he's not necessarily saying that he's, because I know Josh personally, he's not a bigot, he's not a racist, he doesn't hate people, but he resonates with Trump based on being angry at how establishment politics has performed so far.
A lot of people are angry about that, but that's not necessarily going to make them a good president.
No, and I agree with that premise, but I just wanted to give you a different perspective because
people were saying John McCain was going to be a great president because he was a prisoner of war.
Right.
That alone does not mean that you could be the commander in chief.
So I guess my point there was that there are other reasons why people are voting for Trump, not just for the bigot reasons or the racist reasons or the hate reasons or anything like that. That was my point.
I've heard from many members of the GOP that a vote for Hillary is a vote for 4 to 8 more years of the same.
Okay.
And I say bring it on.
You actually liked Obama's administration?
My life and the life of everyone I know hasn't been better since.
All right. I mean, we were in
a pretty deep hole, a recession.
Yep.
Before he took over.
You know, when you bring up George Bush, not you personally, but when other people bring up George Bush, the GOP people and the pro-Trump people jump so hard, and the anti-Obama people, they jump so hard at you because you're not apparently supposed to bring up how poorly he performed and the bad shape that he put the country in. And I agree with that. I think that if I was to rank the worst presidents of all time, George Bush would be at or near the top of the list for me personally. But I disagree with a lot of Obama's mentalities and policy, but I don't think that he's a terrorist. I don't think that he's an evil individual. I think he's super liberal, and he tries to make everybody happy, and I think his ego gets the better of him at times, because I think sometimes he does things to be like, hey, look at me, look what I did. And I don't like that at all.
Last time I checked, he's running a well-oiled machine right now.
Well, there's people out there that love him because guess what? He's got as high of a approval rating as Reagan did at the end of his term. So he's doing something right with some people.
If you listen to the Republican National Convention,
yep,
you hear different governors and senators and stuff, and what they're saying is that their particular state has never had as much of a surplus of money as they have now, that their particular state, the unemployment rate is the lowest it's ever been, yet literally in the same breath, in the same sentence, they'll turn around and say how the country's in shambles.
Adam, are you Irish? Are you Irish?
No.
You're not Irish?
No.
Do you know anyone by the name of Keith Malloy at all?
Name sounds familiar, but not particularly.
All right, just curious, because there's a guy posted on Facebook as Keith Malloy, and he just keeps on posting all this Obama is great, Hillary is great stuff, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't you.
No.
I'm on the investigative case. All right?
I'm going to let you go.
All right, man.
You guys do a hell of a job.
All right, brother.
Thank you, bud.
Have a great day. Cheers. You know what? If I was to make a candidate, I'm going to have to go with Keith Malloy. Right now, Adams is near the top of my list as a candidate for fake profile Keith Malloy. I'm just going with that right now. That's all I'm doing. At any rate.
Yeah.
What? Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, got caught lying. Straight up about her emails. She got caught lying about her emails. Like, straight up lying. Like, oops, I lied. Okay, still vote for me. Like that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got Donald Trump, who doesn't know up from down, left from right, and anything in between at all. No, you do not have to vote for one of these two people. I'm just saying you don't have to. That reason that my friend Adam just gave me, I do not agree with it whatsoever. You live in what country is it?
I live in the United States.
Hashtag
America.
Right? We've been in sync a couple of times now. It's good. We live in America, where you should be free to do some things, such as vote for who you want. That's it. There should not be any more discussion about it. Anybody trying to tell you to vote for somebody else is just trying to convince you to go with their politics instead of your own. That's it. Don't do that. Go with what you feel is right. That's it. I mean, that's it. Don't overcomplicate it. I had my friend during the Super Tuesday. He's like, oh, all right, TJ, because most people call me TJ, not Trot, that know me from before 2013. So they said to me, you know, TJ, I'm going to vote for Trump because I don't want Hillary, blah, 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 and a vote for this is going to be a vote for that, and that blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you voting for the person you want? And he didn't have an answer. I said, are you voting for the person you want? You know what he ended up doing? He ended up voting for Kasich. Because he voted for the person he wanted. And listen, whether I voted for Kasich. If you are voting for who you want, then I believe that you're upholding you can look in the mirror, go to bed at night, and be perfectly fine. If you vote for Donald Trump because you don't like Hillary Clinton, just remember something. You're voting for Donald Trump. That's all I can say. And he's a nut. He should not be the president of the United States. Neither should Hillary. So stop voting for these people. That's all I'm saying.
Can we just go on record as saying that this is just your opinion?
The views and opinions of this commentary right now belongs to Trot Joseph Lee and does not represent Derek at all or the invisible person named Nikki Medeiros at all. You good with that?
Sure.
Who are you voting for?
I don't know. I'm not.
Do you think so? Do you think that there's a possibility that you can actually throw away your vote?
See,
am I throwing away my vote for voting for either Gary Johnson or Joe Stein or whoever somebody else?
because you're going to do exactly the same thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to vote for the person that I believe best deserves my vote. That's not a throwaway.
I use the local elections as my guide a little bit when I try to break things down to people who have this just one track mind mentality. You know, I ask them all the time, did you vote for Mike Maioza? Because a lot of people I know voted for Mike Maioza. Oh, yeah, I voted for Mike Maioza. Did he win? No. Do you feel like your vote was wasted? No. Then there you go. You voted for who you wanted to be. You voted for the person. And did Mike Maioza realistically have a chance to beat Sam Sutter at that time? No. Sam Sutter's name recognition alone was going to blow everybody out of the water, right?
Well, according to some city councilors, he had the money to.
Well, he did have the money. He had loads of money.
Well, that's the thing. Well, but this is where the problem ultimately lies.
Yep.
You have people who stated that they weren't going to vote for a colleague of theirs, and they were going to vote for someone else because they had the money.
I was right. I was the one who asked that question to the city councilor myself.
Yes.
That's exactly what Linda told me. I said, why would you support Sam Sutter and not Mike Maioza? And she's like, Mike can't win. He doesn't have the money. I was like, well, why is it about money? What does that matter? And she just kind of, she gave me the look. I mean, this is a person who's been city council for over 20-something years. She knows the game. She knows that money is a big part of the game. So she just said to me, he can't win. Sam has more money. And that was that. That was the end of it.
It's ridiculous when you have to go into an election and think that because someone has more money, they're going to succeed.
Yep.
Now take a look at what happened with the take a look.
Who won the 2015 election?
Oh, you talking about city council or
Mayor.
Oh, Jaisal.
Who raised more money?
Not Jaisal.
Exactly. So Sam still had more money, but guess what? Performance mattered in that election. Yeah. Performance didn't matter for Sam Sutter because he was using his record of DA to run for mayor. And people like myself and other people out there knew that those two didn't connect. No, unfortunately, the rest of the city was having trouble connecting that.
Well, no, I mean, you take a look at the fact that he, to get into the mayor's position, he used his DA record. That's it. That's fine. But once you're in the position, you're right.
Show me something.
You're the only thing that
show me.
The only thing that you can go on is what have you done as mayor. Exactly. When you keep bringing back my 7 years as DA. I don't care what you did as the DA.
It's not going to resonate over time, right?
In the 8 months or the 9 months that you were a mayor, right. What did you do? You sat back. You let your chief of staff do the majority of the work for you. Yeah. You implemented a $10 per unit per month fee. And
let's just say he put more of a financial burden on taxpayers, because that's ultimately what he did. He didn't just come up with that fee, but he raised taxes. He raised other fees. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't just bring that $10 per unit per month fee. He also raised taxes. He kept the bags. There was a handful of other things that went up. Water went up. So he didn't just do that. But what he did do was he made almost no effort at all to take the burden off of people.
Great.
No effort. None. So remember that conversation we had at A1 with the guy that was a Sam Sutter supporter?
Yes.
He said to us, and we had to go in a circular discussion a few times here for him to understand. He kept saying to us, oh, this new mayor, he raised everything. So what if he saved money on sanitation? He raised everything else. And I said to him, well, the last two mayors raised taxes and put an extra burden through sanitation on people. Oh, well, you have to do that because you have to pay for it. Well, then I turned back around and I said, well, this mayor was able to cut down that cost. And then he goes, oh, yeah, but he raised everything else. So we were in this circular discussion of, yeah, your other mayors raised everything and didn't bring down a burden at all. Whereas this mayor raised a bunch of things, but at least tried to cut some cost in this area. And ultimately, he just was like, he just let it go. Oh, that's why we don't talk politics. But because he realized that he was not making any sense after a while.
I think once it finally clicked,
yeah.
and he realized this is where the conversation went, and this is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think it finally caught up with him, and he's like, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
I think I should have just stopped talking.
Right.
But
that's ultimately the way it went down. But here we go. We got another phone call. Hello, you're on City Talk Fall River.
Hi, Trot and Derek. How's it going?
It's great. Who am I speaking with?
This voice sounds
this is Jenna Migliori.
Oh, what's going on? How you doing?
What's going on, guys?
I have a gut feeling that I have a bunch of inboxes from you, but I have to shut down my Facebook.
No, it was just, I was looking for the number. I just had to, scroll through Facebook to find it, but.
Oh, my bad. We should probably do it more.
I'm just calling to burst your bubble about the presidential election and how the Electoral College, Trot, is the people that actually determine who's president. So the popular vote, which is you, me, Derek, etc., we go in on election day and we say, hey, us as the popular vote, we think that would be great if, I don't know, I personally would go with Gary Johnson. I just don't think that Massachusetts
no, you know what?
Would go for that.
You bring up the best point when it comes to the differences between a local election and a presidential election, and that ultimately. By the way, if you're somewhere windy, we're picking up on that feedback.
Yeah.
So if you can do something about that, just so that listeners don't get their ears blown out. But blowout. But you're absolutely right. That's the number one difference between me bringing up the local election as a hey, did you waste your vote, and the Electoral College, because yes, you're absolutely right. That is the determining factor, not the actual majority vote, because we would have had different presidents.
So the popular vote says, hey, Electoral College, we think that this would be a great idea. And then it's actually happened, I think, at least 100 times where the Electoral College is pretty much, hey, F you guys, this is who we're voting for. Sorry, popular vote. So, I mean, I think that the entire system is atrocious. I mean, and to say that, if you don't vote then in the presidential election, then you don't have any right to complain. I mean, personally, if you do vote, you kind of
you have a right to complain, but your complaint about how they need to reform the Electoral College process is the complaint to have. So that way people would have a voice and would have a vote. And I think that this Electoral College is one of the major reasons why people don't get involved in voting, because people don't think that their vote counts.
Yeah, but however, that was since 1776, Trot. So you can't say, you know what I mean? You can't say, oh, this is literally the way that it's always been. You have people that are like, oh, the founding fathers cared for liberty, equal rights for all men, and literally just men. I mean, white men, obviously. But wait,
what? What's this? Hey, listen.
All men are created equal.
Listen, Jenna.
Right?
All lives matter, Jenna. All lives matter, Jenna.
Except to everything that our country was built on. So, it's just crazy to me how people are like, oh, yeah, founding fathers gave. No, they didn't give a crap.
Jenna, you should have, you know what? You should have
you enough to cast a vote for yourself.
You should put together.
They have to add a buffer. And then they're like, oh, yeah, all men are created equal except for everybody, except if you're white.
You should put together an initiative through social media. All votes matter. As an affront to the Electoral College, and to fundamentally change it. I think that would work for you. I think that would work. All votes matter.
I don't think they absolutely don't.
No. I'm saying as a way to combat, as a way to advocate for a reform of the Electoral College process.
To actually counting votes
of
people rather than what party they belong to, and then in turn what the governor. I mean, Electoral College, if I'm not mistaken, is appointed by governors of the state.
There you go.
I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. So
reform the whole process. Make sure every vote counts.
I just think it's wild. I mean, so yes, you can cast a vote. You will be considered the popular vote, but I I mean, I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it's over 100 times they've given the middle finger to the popular vote.
Didn't
with
John
whoever the heck
Kerry
they wanted to.
did John Kerry get the popular vote and he lost to Bush?
Al Gore did.
That could have happened.
Oh, it was Al Gore. It was Al Gore.
Clinton did.
Yeah,
Bill Clinton lost the popular vote, won the Electoral College.
Yeah.
I think actually Bush did too. If I'm not, actually, I think Obama did too. Actually, oddly enough. Yeah, huh? Like, just going through and you're like, oh yeah, your vote matters, and then you're just like, oh man, you didn't win the popular vote. You didn't win the popular vote.
I want you Googling it, and then I want you tagging me. I want you calling me out. All right? We're going to be going.
I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just trying to correct you a little bit.
I know, but I'm having fun with it, so enjoy.
Okay. Good job, guys. You guys are doing great without Nikki.
I know, right? Like
no
it's almost as
Nikki,
if
I thought it would be worse.
It's almost as if I only know what to say when Nikki tells me. It's weird.
I know, it's weird. Did she write up notes for you?
I know, right? Just throw it all out the window.
Awesome.
Wait, what are those index cards doing over there?
Have a great day, Jenna.
You too. See you guys.
And I always appreciate you calling and listening. So that was my friend. All right, let me see.
Oh, Jenna.
Wait. Adam now is texting me.
Oh boy,
this is great.
Is this something that we
panel?
Is this something that we can we officially say on the radio?
All right. So Adam says to us in my text message, "You are right. I have the right to vote for who I want. Therefore, I'm going to make a calculated decision to make sure the person I don't want does not get into office." But as my friend Jenna made a very great point there, it's all about the Electoral College. Okay. So your vote doesn't actually have the power that it should have as it does in a local election, to be honest.
Oh,
there is
I'm trying to think of a show.
There's a show?
There's a show that plays on, it's on True TV, and I can't think, it's called Adam Ruins Everything.
Really?
Yes. There is a show.
Adam, are you aware that there's a show?
No, not that Adam. There's a show out there called Adam Ruins Everything. And one of the episodes specifically talks about the Electoral College.
Oh, nice.
And how it works and all of the actual problems that go along with it.
Of course.
Now, don't get me wrong. Things can be changed because remember, from back in the archaic 1776 period to now, there's been tons of changes. Like if you think about it, I believe, and this is going back to what I remembered in the show, is that people that were allowed to vote were only those people that owned land. Now anybody can vote.
So it's not just white men, but white landowning men.
That was back then.
Yeah.
That was the criteria for voting. And then what happened? And then the other thing is that if you ever convicted, I think if you are convicted of a crime, regardless of how small or large it is, that automatically disqualifies you from voting.
Wow.
So you could have gotten a really bad. You could have been arrested for something stupid, convicted of it. You're no longer able to vote.
That's interesting.
And they go through all of the problems of the system where you can have the popular vote, have the most people vote for you in the country, and still not get in
because of the Electoral College.
Exactly.
It's a nightmare.
And they are appointed. I believe she's right. They are appointed by the governor, or they are officials of the state. They are appointed, and they pretty much do what they want. She's right.
Want to thank Jenna for calling in. Jenna's a very, very smart person. Sometimes she yells and swears at people too much on Facebook. You know what happens though? When she goes off, like she'll go on a thread and go off, right?
Yes.
And then what I'll do,
recently.
hey, I won't like anything or anything like that, but I'll go in the inbox and say, hey, are you okay? Are your fingers hurting from beating people up with your typing skills? You know? Stop bothering her a little bit. She's funny, and she's awesome at the same time. So is Adam. I've known Adam since I was a freshman. Durfee, crazy. We're old. We're old people. I still look young. Adam has, he's aged.
See, this beard is making me look old. But hey, you know what? Hey, but look, I figured that the haircut up there was actually a good call. You know?
Oh yeah. Looks good. Let's get the buzz cut.
I mean, I'll admit this is the shortest I think I've ever had.
It's weird, it's weird because like. The beard thing is now in, like it's huge, right? It's like this is the style that everyone's getting. The beard, the faded in beard, right?
You like
with the hair.
like
and then you didn't do it, but what the guys have been doing is they get the part and then they get this nice big,
Yeah.
curve
Yeah.
with their hair.
Yeah, no.
That's the look right now. That's the millennial look,
Yeah, no.
and everyone's doing it. Not me.
Yeah, no.
I might shave my head if enough gray hairs keep popping up.
No, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but
That's the look.
It's the look.
Everyone in Massachusetts has a beard right now. Women, men,
Women,
kids,
women. Wow.
These are just jokes. The views and opinions of. No?
Moving on.
We're moving on. I used to love going and doing the show at BCC
because of that.
because we would be able to hit the button, and there was a commentary of the views and opinions expressed here do not necessarily reflect those of BCC and of FRC Media and all that kind of stuff, right?
In the city of Fiori, yeah.
So whenever Jordan Sylvia would call in, I'd say, Jordan, wait. And then I'd hit the button and make sure. He would laugh through that. But I was serious. You know what I mean? I was like, no, he doesn't listen to the show anymore. He says he's not listening to politics anymore. But wasn't he talking about politics all day today when he was picking up trash?
Yes.
With us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
So anyway.
So yeah. So we're about 6 minutes, 7 minutes before we have song time.
I want to emphasize a couple of things. One more time, Citizens for a Cleaner Fall River. They have a Facebook page. Get on it, like it. You'll be able to receive some updates on there where you can figure out where they are to go. They go out maybe on a weekly basis, maybe even more than that, and they just find a spot and they start cleaning it up in the neighborhood. I think that's great. I hope it influences and inspires other people to get involved, do the same thing as well. Angels Anonymous did a cleanup today over at Hartwell Street. We go out there and we will post on Facebook as well the events. We'll try to make sure we invite everybody to these events.
Yes.
And we'll make sure that whenever we're doing something, no matter what it is, whether it's a drive, cleanup, fundraiser for a special cause, Thanksgiving dinner, whatever it is, keep your eyes open and your ears open for all that information. You can always listen to us. We try to do our best to make sure we let everybody know what's going on. There are other groups out there, such as the Nelly Strong. Actually, they tried to break a record. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I think they fell about maybe 200 or 300 people short to try to gather to break some type of record for most angels in one setting. So unfortunately, that didn't work out. There was a little bit of a social media back and forth about some things, but hopefully everyone realizes that these people, not just Nelly Strong, but all these people that try to do community things, the baseline of it is that we're trying to do things to improve our community. It's not about, that's why the word anonymous is in the Angels Anonymous, not because we go around with masks on, hiding our identities like Batman, but we're trying to not make it about one person. We're not trying to make it about ourselves and putting ourselves on some type of display. You like that? It's not like that. It's just about making sure that we're doing this for the purpose of helping our communities, not because we're doing it for look at me, look at me, look at me. So I hope that people get that. I hope that people, hopefully it inspires people to get more involved. And there's nothing that makes me happier than to see other people besides the regular groups getting out there and doing things as well. So on that note, everybody, Derek, do you have something you want to say to the people before we go?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, everyone have a great day. It's going to be running a little late. If you have time to head out to the Madeira Feast tomorrow, it's going to be a great day.
Is it going to rain? Is it going to thunderstorm?
There's supposed to be some showers tonight. Doesn't usually stop anybody from going out there.
Well, here's the thing. If it rains and thunderstorms, I might go to the feast. But if it doesn't, you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm taking that bike.
Yeah. Tomorrow it's not doing anything. Tomorrow's going to be a beautiful day.
I'm taking my bike.
I don't know. I will not be here for the next 2 weeks. I will be out in Las Vegas. Nice. I'll be out there for the Whirlpool tournaments. I'm actually out there on an officiating level. I'll be reffing some of the tournaments.
You know what? It just popped in my head. Since Derek knows for a fact he's not going to be here for 2 weeks, I have an open invitation to any of our listeners right now. Open invitation. First come, first serve.
Jenna, I would love to see
Yeah.
it. I would stop what I was doing in Vegas just to listen to the 2 hours that you were here.
So someone can come in and sit with me and Nikki and do the show with us for 1 week, and then the following week it could be somebody else. So whoever wants to be a guest host on our podcast, call in.
I'm going to say her name, and I know she's not going to do it. Danielle, I'd love to hear that one, too.
Oh, even if you hate me, by the way. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
When the
Even if you don't like me, you get to sit here on the side of me and yell at me for 2 hours. Can you do that? Do it. Anyway, no matter who it is, I might have to make sure my apartment's extra clean. If people hate me.
Well, you did pretty good today.
Not too bad.
No, you did
Not
pretty
too
good.
bad. Not too bad.
You missed a spot. That's all right.
I definitely missed a couple of spots, but it's all good. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much. Get involved. Do something with yourself. Get up, get out, and do something. That's all I got to say.
Good day, everyone.
Oh, yeah. We're going to pause this for a second.
Yeah. It also helps if we have the speakers connected properly.
Hey, listen.
But hey, we're working on it.
Listen. We are not working on it. Let's just be real about it.
See, this is the part Nikki plays. She's the one that
This show is what it is at this point. It's not changing anymore.
We'll get it.
Crazy. Right now, Adam is doing the Cabbage Patch Running Man combination dance right now.